Topping today's news, the police taking a large number of guns off the streets during a late-night sting operation. The opposition critical of the government signing a loan agreement with Saudi Arabia for airport development, the Hospital Authority and the Doctors Union nearing an industrial agreement, and Junu groups getting their seed money to prepare for the upcoming parades. Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Junu. This is your Jcn Evening News, and it is a pleasure to have you join us. An overnight bust led to police officers in the capital making a huge discovery, which resulted in 2 adult males, ages 35 and 33, and a 13-year-old juvenile male being arrested and 10 firearms, along with a large quantity of ammunition, confiscated. Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Jcn Skippings giving us the update.
Shortly after 11 last night, officers from our Operation Secure City, acting on intelligence, executed a search warrant on a residence in the Sunset Park area. While searching, they found 10 ammunition. I know earlier in the press release it was 9. However, after conducting a thorough search, it was actually 10 weapons that were located and over 700 rounds of ammunition. I can say to you that the Commissioner of Police will speak to you in depth regarding this particular find this morning as early as Monday. We're just allowing the officers to do their due diligence and investigations into the matter, but it is a significant arrest, over 700 rounds of ammunition, over 700 lives saved as a result of that find this morning.
The discovery was the result of the police acting on a tip, and against this backdrop, Chief Superintendent Skippings is making an appeal to residents who may have any information in regards to criminal activity to contact the police, even if you prefer to do so anonymously.
And so again, on behalf of our Commissioner, I want to thank the Bahamian people who every day make their best contribution and contacting their law enforcement agency to provide us with the necessary information that result in these type of arrests and weapons being taken off our streets. As citizens of this great country, we all have a responsibility to ensure that crime and criminality does not exist in our country. And so we thank members of the public, and to those persons who haven't made their contributions, we look forward to you making your contributions so that we can create a safer Bahamas for all of us.
That was Police Press Liaison Officer Chief Superintendent Jcn Skippings. The government of the Bahamas signed a loan agreement with the Saudi Fund for Development for $70 million that will go towards funding airport infrastructure in the Exumas. Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation Chester Cooper signed the loan agreement while in Saudi Arabia on Wednesday. Deputy Prime Minister Cooper is on a trade mission to West Asia that began on Sunday with a stop in Qatar. Back here at home, leader of the official opposition, Michael Pintard, has been critical of the loan agreement, suggesting it is illegal for the Deputy Prime Minister to enter the Bahamian government into such a loan because the law says only the Minister of Finance, who is currently the Prime Minister, Philip Davis, has that authority.
So neither the Minister of Tourism or any other minister other than the Minister of Finance can, according to Section 16(1) and 2A of the Public Debt Management Act, enter into a loan agreement for public purposes that obligates the government in any way. As it stands now, the agreement is illegal in structure, and we call on the government to reverse its course, cancel the arrangement, and follow the law.
Meanwhile, the opposition is calling on the government to make public the details of that loan, threatening also to take legal steps to have the loan reversed.
The opposition also demands that the government immediately release the full terms and conditions of the Saudi loan arrangement, indicating in particular the interest rates and the loan tenor. In the interest of accountability and transparency, all agreements that commit the Bahamian taxpayer that further debt obligations must be made public in full as soon as they are agreed by the government.
Mr. Pintard also noted that any funds procured by the government on behalf of the country must go into a consolidated fund. The Saudi fund statement said the agreement signed with the Bahamas and Mauritius are part of the Saudi Fund for Development's commitment to support sustainable development in developing countries and small island developing states around the world. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Philip Davis once again advocating for accountability and solutions from developed countries that have contributed the most towards global warming and the climate change crisis, though small island developing states like the Bahamas continue to feel the brunt of these consequences. Speaking to fellow nation leaders and representatives at the Second Caribbean Small Island Developing States High-Level Dialogue on Climate Change in Grenada on Thursday, Prime Minister Davis continues his call for the fulfillment of financial commitments made at previous global climate change forums.
The urgency of our work could not be clearer, even in the best case scenarios. Even if the world can make significant progress in reducing fossil emissions, progress that in reality is far from being assured. For the foreseeable future, our region will continue to experience warming oceans, rising waters, and more intense hurricanes. Since the start of the Industrial Revolution, more than 1 trillion tons of carbon dioxide have been released into our Earth's atmosphere. Try as they might to skirt around the issue, the industrialized North will need to make the most sizable adjustments. It is, after all, their development which has brought us to this point. We must call on our partners in the North to deliver on the commitment they made at COP15 in Copenhagen to mobilize $100 billion per year by 2021. This is the very same goal which was reiterated at COP21 in Paris and extended to 2025.
Prime Minister Davis went on to call for all small island developing states to form a unified voice and communicate clear ideas and a common purpose. He cited commonalities such as residing in the same hurricane alley, relying on tourism as the main industry for income, and climate change threatening the existence of a beautiful island culture.
I grew up on a small island in the Bahamas that is big on community. It was the kind of tight-knit place where even your neighbors felt like your family. And that's exactly how I feel about all of you. My brothers and sisters, ours is a common heritage and a shared future. Let us use this forum to identify our priorities, focus our efforts, and fight for a sustainable future. A future in which the months from June to November do not spell certain doom for the countries of the Caribbean. Key to a future in which our region flourishes will be our sustained commitment to seeing a loss and damage fund come to full fruition. The adoption of this fund at COP27 was a remarkable achievement of Caribbean solidarity, one which we cannot afford to let fall by the wayside. The time has come to double down on our efforts, to tell these developed nations to write the check.
While boasting of the recently announced Bahamas Sustainable Investment Program as a step in the right direction for meeting the targets set by the Paris Agreement and the UN's Sustainable Development Goals, Prime Minister Davis called for the Caribbean region to not sit idly by. In an update on the Bahamas Doctors Union and the Public Hospitals Authority reaching an industrial agreement, PHA Managing Director Dr. Abinette Rose says there should be an agreement announced shortly. However, she could not give a specific date as she claims other financial factors play a part in reaching an industrial agreement.
Yeah, so we are very close with closing as it relates to the Bahamas Doctors Union, and that's the junior physicians. And then the senior physicians, we will do that next. So it's hopeful within the next few weeks we would have completed everything for the BDU, and we could move forward with completion of all of the articles, all of the financials for the CPSA.
When asked about the doctors' union desire to have health insurance, Dr. Rose said the request will be considered. However, she says it must fit well within practical feasibility.
Right, so there is a concern, and throughout the Bahamas, you hear from various employees the need of having medical insurance, and that will be something for consideration as well. That consideration was given to the nurses in their negotiations, and I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to look at that and come up with something that's feasible, more importantly, something that is sustainable for the clinicians. It really depends on the negotiation. So remember, so where we as an entity can close on those non-financials, the financials, we are guided by the financial secretary and what the country is able to do at this time and sustain futuristically.
In the past, negotiations between the Public Hospitals Authority and the Doctors Union has been intense, with doctors going on strike during the Minnis administration back in 2019 and ending up in the Industrial Tribunal courts, eventually with an injunction preventing members of the Doctors Union from taking industrial action. The Minister of Youth, Sports and Culture, Mario Boleg, announced Thursday that $2.8 million has been allocated for the 2023-2024 Junu season, with more than $700,000 in seed money shared among the groups.
For $736,000 in seed funding to all of the participating groups in the country. We are presenting today to New Providence 7 A category groups of $30,000. 18 B category groups of $15,000, 23 D category groups participating of $1,500, 20 fund group of $2,000, and in Grand Bahama, 6 A category of $9,000 and 4 B category of $4,000.
Meanwhile, Dion Miller, chairman of the Junu Corporation, New Providence, said the corporation is asking members of the public to assist by becoming a judge in the upcoming parade. Also this year, the Ministry of Health and Wellness will play a greater role in Junu by issuing health screens to Junu participants. In the past, some Junuers have experienced serious health issues, including death, while on the parade route. And finally, in this segment, the new Minister of Agriculture, Jomo Campbell, says farmers are excited to grow marijuana. However, he said before that could happen, government will continue consultation to ensure all measures and proper protocols are put in place before the rollout of cannabis.
Anything new in the Bahamas, we like and we love. And this industry is going to create a new window of opportunity and growth. As the chairman said, something is always growing in BAIC, and we always want to keep something growing in the Bahamas legally. And so, it's definitely creating a buzz, but we want to get it right. In the midst of excitement, sometimes we can let our passion and emotion run away with us. And the legal personality and me always tends to lean towards the side of getting it right before we implement it, rather than having to fix and fix and fix after implementation.
Asked his personal views, the minister said he is pleased with the strides the government is making in legalizing cannabis. He says the legalization of the herb will make way for people who have had past run-ins with the law for having small amounts of marijuana to now have their records cleared up.
Well, I certainly am, because, these sort of minor infractions that go hand in hand with simple possession of dangerous drugs, sometimes, they scar an individual for life. You have teenagers who make sometimes boyish, childish mistakes, and they have records attached to them that they can never get over. It prohibits them from traveling. It prohibits them from seeing the world. And that really, tends to shrink the mindset of certain persons. So to see this opening up, it really affects the country on many different levels. And will definitely go to impact in relieving some of the backlog in the courts as well.
According to the new agriculture minister, Family Island farmers will also be able to take part in this fast-growing industry. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back after these commercials.